Marketing is like asking someone on a date. Branding is the reason that they say yes. A lot of marketing issues are actually branding issues,
Oh, love
right?
that.
It's one of my favorite quotes. I think it's like, when I think of like your brand, it's like the sun, and then marketing is all the rays. Like if you're picturing like, a drawing of the sun. And so once you get clear on those brand foundations, it really makes your marketing journey a lot easier.
Welcome to The Expansion Code. I'm Heather, and I could not be more excited to finally launch this podcast. This is the space where we dive into all things business, growth, leadership, and team expansion. I am really passionate about building something bigger than myself, sharing knowledge, and creating opportunities for others to thrive. I started solo, and now I lead a team of over 50, so trust me, I know the highs and the challenges and the incredible moments that come with scaling a business. Throughout this podcast, I'll be sharing insights, strategies, and conversations with some truly incredible guests. We are going to cover everything from marketing and leadership to mindset shifts and business expansion. So my goal is to give you real actionable takeaways that you can apply to your own journey. Let's dive in, learn together, and unlock what's next. Welcome to The Expansion Code. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Expansion Code with me, your host, Heather Dick. I am back with my good friend, Jodie, and we have a bite-sized episode for you today on marketing and branding. Jodie, welcome back.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to do like a rapid fire marketing branding episode today.
Oh, I love that term. Okay. So our listeners by now know a background on you. So we're going to skip that part because we want to make this really digestible. Okay, let's get into it. Do you believe traditional marketing like prints, billboards, things like that still has a place in today's digital world?
Ooh, okay. I love this question. I think
Great.
it depends. So here's how I'm going to preface that.
Okay.
So I believe it really depends on your budget, because obviously these are more expensive forms of advertising. Would this be what I would prioritize over a digital strategy? No. Here is a possible exception. And so there is a realtor in my area, and I live out, you have to take one of two highways to go into the closest city. So everyone that lives here is consistently taking those highways, right? We are the captive audience. This is a realtor who works in this area. So one of the key principles that I always think about when it comes to marketing is get in front of your audience. And so for that particular realtor, she has billboards on both highways. You cannot miss it. It is consistent repetition whenever you go. She also has a billboard on the one highway that's near the military base that says expert in military relocation. And so I believe that for that type of business, it can be really beneficial because number one, you're getting that consistent repetition. Number two, a realtor is like, I mean, I know this is going to really depend based on where you are, but like when I have hired realtors in the past, it's really just, I kind of search on Google and I'm like, okay, who's coming up, right? So when you consistently go past this person's billboards, yes, you're going to go to her website before you hire her, 1,000%. So would I say billboard uh, before you have the, like, at least a bare minimum digital strategy? No, definitely not. But I do think in that specific case, it can be really effective. And so if you have a business where it's like, or even I can think like potentially hotels, if you can, showcase a really beautiful hotel on a billboard or that kind of thing, I can see that being an effective strategy for specific businesses, especially ones that maybe, are very, very location specific, and aren't, I don't want to say quality based, but like when I go to look for a salon, like I'm combing through their work, right? I'm combing through the vibe in the salon, the brand. I don't have to go hang out at my realtor's house for like 4 hours. So I care less about those things. I just want to know if they can sell my house, right? And if they work in my area, if they're familiar with my area. So when it comes to things like print ads, I would really, again, it depends where your people are, but like It would have to be something very specific in order for me to see the value in that this day and age, like with especially instead of a digital strategy. Because when's the last time you picked up a magazine?
Couldn't tell you.
Like, I literally don't I can't even remember the last time I saw one, to be
Not on
honest.
purpose.
No. So I would think about that when it comes to traditional media. Do I think it's irrelevant? No, not necessarily. But I think what's gonna happen is it's gonna lead people to your digital presence, and so to be
Mhm.
mindful of that when you're prioritizing your investments.
I do think it's also unfortunate you did mention that, print and commercial TV, it's way more expensive. It's really unfortunate because what's happening in the that marketing and advertising world is they're losing advertisers because it's
Yeah,
becoming so unattainable for these
yeah,
small businesses.
yeah. And honestly, I'll say, I think I would see more value in PR versus advertising
Oh,
on those,
interesting.
like, because someone's a lot more likely to like, and also because PR typically does have, like, they do have digital versions of most magazines now. TV slots, you could definitely go for PR there because if you are advertising, like, people are generally just fast forwarding, like, they're,
Totally.
you know what I mean? So,
Is there a statistic on how many times you have to see something before you actually remember it or think of it?
it used to be 7. It used to
Oh,
be someone has to see things. So this is like, back in the day, like in the early 1900s when maybe not quite back that far, but it was a long time ago. It was well before the advent of the internet. And
okay.
so that has increased exponentially because now we get about, I think it's about 100 years ago, someone got the amount of information in their lifetime that we see on a daily basis now because we are constantly, think about how many emails, social
Oh,
media posts, all of the things that we see on a daily basis, notifications from the news, and like all of these different things. So that has increased a lot. And now I think your repetition, I think the last statistic I saw was around 28.
wow. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. I thought I thought it was like 15.
Yeah, no, and that can honestly too, that's not even like for necessarily like action anymore. Like that can just be for kind of resonance, depending on
Wow.
on what it is that you sell or do.
So to your one of your last episodes in social media talking about repetition and repeating your content, that's
Yeah,
you almost have to do that.
absolutely. And one of the things that I always liken this to as well is like people are so scared to repeat themselves. Meanwhile, do you think that Disney remaking all of these movies is like a crapshoot coincidence that they're like, huh, I wonder if this will work? Definitely not.
They
These are
know it's working.
exactly, right? They're repeating the formula because it worked once. Think about when you see, like, I watch the same like sitcom for half an hour before bed almost every night. I've seen every episode like 15 times.
Yeah.
I'm not like, ugh, I hate this. I've seen this one before. I'm like, I've seen this one before. Like, I love what happens in this one, right? So,
Yeah. It's
so
true.
I
I'm
think
rewatching New Girl for the 3rd time.
yes. Oh, I love that show.
So do
But yeah,
I.
like when your people, if they liked it the first time, they're not just gonna like be mad at you
Yeah.
for repeating the same message.
Yeah.
It's gonna resonate again, right? And
Mhm.
maybe after a few times of it resonating, they're gonna think, I'm ready. I'm ready to act on this now.
Mm. So that's great. That's really good information. I think lots of people are going to have takeaways from that. If my next question for you is if a business is just starting out and they had to choose one marketing platform, what would it be?
Okay, this is gonna be unpopular, but I actually think that you need more than one.
Okay.
If I had to say, like, if I absolutely had to say you could do two potentially if you're a brick and mortar business. You could do a social media platform. My favorite is Instagram, particularly for salons. I think it's a great visual platform. People are on it, like your dream clients are on it. People are searching. Also, I just taught a class and we were talking about how I searched on Google in their area because I always do a little research on the specific area before I teach a class. And so I Google searched, I Instagram searched salons, stylists in their area to see what came up. And when I searched it on Google, the, X city hairstylist, one of the first things that came up was actually an Instagram profile. So
Wow.
you're not just indexing on Instagram, you're also indexing on Google as well occasionally. And actually, I lied. You can't just have those 2 either. You also need a review platform. So Google My
Mhm.
Business would definitely be, or somewhere where you're collecting reviews. Google is great because it comes up on Google. You definitely need that as well as an email list to maintain and nurture that customer. For a knowledge-based business like consulting, coaching, education, I think you need a social platform, a long form platform, and an email list.
Great. That's okay. It's not unpopular with me. I also agree with you because I think that people forget, social media is great because it builds relevance and, people can see that you're current, but you also don't own social media.
Exactly.
And so even if you have 100,000 followers, if you lost access tomorrow, which I've seen happen to so many people,
Yeah.
they're doomed. They have nothing. They can't. They're starting from square one.
Oh, 100%. And even like with the algorithm changes that have happened in the last few years, Gary Vee calls it the TikTokification of social media. And what he
Mm,
means by that is a lot of social media platforms, because of the success of TikTok, are moving from community based algorithms, so aka showing more to the people who follow you, all of that kind of stuff, and moving more towards interest based algorithms. And so even if you had, it used to kind of work like an email list, like you build it,
right.
you build it, you build it, you build it, you nurture, you sell. And now it's more like consistently creating that relevant content. That's what's going to get, eyes on your page.
Hmm.
And so there's obviously more nuance. It's not like none of your followers see, but I do think, like you said, it's not even something as extreme as losing access. It could also be just the way that these companies are optimizing for their own profit that
Hmm.
ends up, biting you in the butt. So you do want to have something that you own.
Okay, we need to take a little break because, shocker, this podcast is brought to you by my flagship company, Blush, and I need to give a shout out. So, not only does Blush sponsor my lavish lifestyle, it also sponsors this podcast. Shouts. If you know me, you know that I do not play around when it comes to beauty and self care, and that's why Blush is your one stop shop for looking and feeling your best. We genuinely do it all: hair, makeup, nails, massage, tattoo, medi spa. Basically, if it makes you feel like a goddess, we probably offer it. So, whether you're looking for a fresh balayage or a relaxing massage or a little of that I woke up like this glow, we've got the experts to make it happen. Think of it as self care, but with a little extra love, sunshine, and family. And actually, with our most recent expansion, we now have a private gym, physiotherapy, chiropractic services, and a lot more to help your body. So, if you are ready to treat yourself, book an appointment at Blush Artistry because let's be honest, life's too short for bad hair and uneven eyeliner. You can find us at blush-artistry.ca or over on Instagram at blushartistrymua. Back to the episode. And I think that email marketing, I heard a podcast about this a long time ago and it was so true. But we're scared to send emails. We're like, oh, I don't want to bother people. I don't want to bother people. That's not true. If someone likes you and they like your brand and they like your business and they find you valuable, they're
Yeah.
never going to unsubscribe. And
Right.
if they do unsubscribe, they're not your people.
Exactly. And I think that's the thing, right? It's like, if your business is not just a hobby where you entertain your friends, then you have to be able to sell. I saw something the other day that was like, if I don't see CTAs in your emails, I assume that you don't need money.
Yeah, it's
It's
so
like
true though. It's
pretty
so
much.
true.
Yeah.
And if you want to just write a newsletter, I guess just write a newsletter. That's okay too.
Of
Um,
course, you can mix it
but
up.
totally. But the person compared it to, think of your favorite brand. Sephora, I never unsubscribe from, not that Sephora is my favorite brand, but
Right.
Aritzia,
Yeah.
Louis Vuitton. I don't
No.
unsubscribe
No.
ever
And
because I want to
and
see them.
they never send me emails just telling me stories.
No, they're like, here's our new thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
And it's direct to consumer. That's the one thing that I really like about email marketing is these people have signed up with you at one time or another. They've said, "Yes, I want to be contacted by you."
Yeah.
And you know it's going to their inbox unless it's bouncing, right?
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
And I think it just gives you a little bit of that peace of mind. And then the long form, so for the salon owner, for the brick and mortar, it's the reviews. You definitely want to have that review platform for social proof. And then for the long form, for the knowledge based businesses, I do think that it's a really great way to build deeper relationships because when is the last time that you were on someone's social media page for 30 to 45 minutes? It
Mm,
is one of the only ways, like either, and when I say long form, I'm thinking blogs to a certain extent. I think blogging can still work. It's great for like Pinterest, all that kind of stuff. But I love to think about like podcasts or even YouTube in some
Right.
scenarios.
Right.
Just because it, again, you can go deeper, you can really like connect, and also you're able to like show your breadth of expertise. And I feel like it builds a lot of trust, because it's one thing for someone to, throw up a post on Instagram and sound like they know what they're talking about. If you can speak on a subject for 30 minutes,
Hmm.
week after week after week, I know that you are qualified in your space.
Hmm. Also, you're getting such a good like a good energy, and you can understand this person and the kind of person they are, because you're going to be able to pick up on whether they're like kind of a mean-hearted person, or you actually,
And
you relate to these people and these individuals. So now that I've listened to your podcast, okay, I relate to her. I will
yeah,
go on her retreat or
yeah.
whatever.
Exactly. And you can really like show off, cuz again, we talked about this before on the last episode, but it's like differentiating yourself is a massive part of the game now.
Mhm. Mhm.
If you don't want to be commoditized and be at risk of being undercut and outconvenienced, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the big things here, is that you, especially if you're new in like a certain industry, or you're starting a new venture, you get to flex that expertise. You get to like expand on it and really think out your own ideas and showcase that. So I think it's a really awesome opportunity and platform.
I love that. Because we said this is bite size, we're going to keep it bite size.
Love that.
So we're going to leave this episode and our listeners. Do you have any how to's? I know that we've covered a lot in our time together, but do you have any how to's on branding or marketing, anything like that?
So with branding, I'm going to share my favorite quote. First of all,
Okay.
marketing is like asking someone on a date. Branding is the reason that they say yes. A lot of marketing issues are actually branding issues,
Oh, I love
right?
that.
It's one of my favorite quotes. I think it's like, when I think of like your brand, it's like the sun, and then marketing is all the rays. Like if you're picturing like, a drawing of the sun. And so once you get clear on those brand foundations, it really makes your marketing journey a lot easier. We talked a lot about those brand foundations on our social media episode, so I won't go into that. But if you can get clear on those, all channels of marketing are going to be much, much easier for you to actually execute on. And the other thing I'll say about branding too is, so many people start the branding process with their brand colors and their fonts and all of those things. And that to me is like the last step. Like that's about visual communication of the stuff you already have clarity on,
Mhm.
right? The
Mhm.
example I always give is like for a salon, for example, if you like your vibe is like natural, and you're like, you carry all natural products and it's very spa like, and you're playing like, nature sounds, and it's really that type of spa like atmosphere in your salon, but your favorite color is like hot pink, and you like graffiti style fonts and stuff, and you go with that just because you're like, oh, I like this. That is not going to have the same, it's not going to communicate what it is that you do in your salon effectively, right?
Mhm.
So I think that's kind of part of it, is like looking at your branding colors visually as an extension of your brand and a way to visually communicate your brand. Um, or like for blush, for example, like the name is blush, the color is pink. That tracks. That makes
Yeah.
sense. Like we're building a brand around that. So I think that's the second piece of advice I would give.
I love that. That's great advice. And because it's easy for people to just jump on Canva. I'm going to create a logo. I've got a company name, and maybe do what you have to get excited about something,
Totally.
but understand it's going to change. And
Yeah,
you
for
can
sure.
change your name and all of that, but get solid on your foundations. I love that. That's
Agree.
great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you for this little digestible episode. If you'd like to quickly tell listeners where they can find you, that would be great.
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at It's Jodie Brown. And if you love listening to podcasts, go over to the Visionary Rising, wherever you listen to podcasts, because there's tons of deep dive marketing, branding episodes to binge.
It's such a good podcast. It's so well done too. I love listening to it.
Well, thank you. So is this one. I can't wait to listen to more of your episodes.
Awesome.
You're a great interviewer.
Thank you, Jody. Okay, have an awesome day, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, another episode bites the dust. If you loved this conversation as much as I did, don't forget to hit follow, leave a review, or even send it to a friend you think would enjoy it. And because I like to keep things fun, we're always running giveaways with our amazing guests. So make sure to check out the show notes, our Instagram page, get in on the details on how to get the free stuff because it's free and fun. And who doesn't like that? Another little disclaimer, while I love sharing advice and business wisdom, I am not your lawyer, I'm not your accountant, and I'm not your fairy godmother. If you do want to be best friends, though, you can hit me up. Everything on this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only, so no lawsuits, okay? Thank you for hanging out with me today. If you'd like to hang out more, you can find me on Instagram at I am Heather Dick and at the Expansion Code. And all of our free resources and consulting packages are on the website, www.theexpansioncode.ca. I appreciate you being here more than you know. I will see you next time.